For many decades, the samurai has mystified Western audiences by being this warrior, both skilled in combat and honorable beyond measure. But today, we're talking about just another fighter subclass. Hey fellow Game Masters, I'm Richard Quiner, and welcome back to the RPG Daily, your daily dose of all things tabletop role-playing games, helping you build your world and master your game. Today, like I said, we're talking about the Samurai subclass for the Fighter class. Now, this is a subclass that's had some discussion surrounding it. It came out as a Fighter subclass, but there are some people who believe that this should be a class on its own special class, right? There's others who believe that it should be more of a subclass for another class. As an example, the Kensei Monk is very similar in nature to what some people see a samurai as. But today we're just talking about the good old fighter subclass, the samurai. It's actually pretty basic. It seems, I'll just say it up front, it seems like they didn't put a whole lot of effort into this one. It seems like it was a very white bread kind of subclass, but we'll get into how this whole thing works. Now, samurai are known for their fighting spirit and their indomitable nature. They're very stubborn, let's put it that way. They're so stubborn that a samurai will even fight beyond its death. Yes, that's a thing. We'll get to that one later. They are the type of warrior that when they do enter combat, they have three options. Their enemy dies, they die. Nope. They're the type of warrior that when they enter combat, they have really just three options. Their enemy gives up, their enemy dies, or they themselves die. So let's dive into all the things that this subclass gets. First up, at level 3, when you take the subclass, you gain new proficiencies. One is you learn a new language of your choice. The second is you learn a new skill proficiency. This skill proficiency can be one of history, insight, persuasion, or performance. So, very straightforward. Also at level 3, when you take this, you gain the ability Fighting Spirit. This is where you are so tenacious that you can buff your own abilities in combat. 3 times per day, you are able to give yourself a boost, a couple bonuses, using just a bonus action. The first one is you gain advantage on attack rolls until the end of the turn, which is pretty straightforward. The second one, though, is a more long-lasting one. You gain 5 temporary hit points. These temporary hit points, it's only 5 at first, but at levels 10 and 15, they increase to 10 and 15 temporary hit points. At level 7, you gain Elegant Courtier. Courtier? Something like that. This is where your social skills come into play and actually get a bonus from being a samurai. The first thing you can get is you have proficiency in wisdom saving throws. If you already have proficiency in wisdom saving throws, then you can put that into intelligence or charisma instead, your choice. The other part of this is whenever you make a persuasion check, an ability check, you can also add your wisdom ability modifier to that roll. This ability kind of focuses on the samurai's eye for social situations. The samurais are strong warriors, but they also were very honorable. They knew social etiquette, I guess we could say, and this kind of plays into that, where you know how to act socially as well as on the battlefield. At level 10, you gain a little bit of a boost. You gain Tireless Spirit. This one comes into play and it shows the relentless nature of a samurai. If you roll initiative and have no more uses of the Fighting Spirit left, then you gain one of them. That's it. Straightforward. Also at this level, I will mention your Fighting Spirit temp HP increases up to 10. At level 15, you gain the ability Rapid Strike. This is an interesting one because you're actually trading the quality of attack for quantity of attacks. How this works is when you make an attack roll, if you have advantage on that attack roll, you may exchange the advantage in order to make a second attack on that turn, on that action, I guess we'll say. So basically, if you find yourself in a position where you are flanking an enemy, if your DM plays with flanking rules, or if you have any other advantage on an attack roll, they're prone, for example, instead of taking advantage to try and make sure you hit, you can take 2 attacks to double the potential damage dealing of the attacks by making 2 of them. But you can only do this once per turn. And the last of the subclass abilities, at level 18, you get Strength Before Death. Now this, I mentioned earlier, samurai are too stubborn to die sometimes, and this is that ability. Yes, it is a high one. Yes, you need to take Fighter class all the way to level 18 to get it, but here's what you get from it. If you are in a combat situation where you are reduced to 0 hit points and not killed outright, instead of dying, or going unconscious, I guess we should say, you can actually use your reaction to instead take another turn. This new turn kind of interrupts the flow of combat. So if it was someone else's turn on initiative and they attacked you and you took this and your reaction started, it would then be your turn, and then they would finish their turn after your turn happened because you're too strong to die. The other side of this is at the end of the turn, if you still only have 0 hit points, then you will fall unconscious as planned. So it's a good plan, I guess, in this situation to take the hit, you know, take your extra turn, make sure you get a little bit of healing from it so you can stay in the battle, and then continue the fight. This ability, though very powerful, is only usable once per long rest. I see this subclass as kind of a blank slate to build something more interesting and more unique with your feats that you would want to use, or the race choices that you make. For example, a half-orc with relentless endurance would let you stay in the fight even before you reach level 18, and then at level 18 you're practically invincible because you could get knocked down to 0, come back with 1 hit point right away, then you could get knocked down to 0 again, take your extra turn, potentially heal up, and repeat. In addition to that, if you are able to get your attack bonus high enough, which you're a fighter, you're probably going to get your attack bonus high enough, you can exchange all chances of having advantage for an extra attack instead, giving you many attacks. Advantage is nice. It is good. It gives you more options, more chances to hit if it's a very high armored enemy. It gives you a potential for a critical hit if that's something that your DM is using. But I feel like a net positive is that chance for more attacks. So, as the example, if you get yourself in a position where you are a fighter, you have extra attacks, you can take an attack. If you have advantage, you can be like, oh, I want to use this one instead for an extra attack. You get an extra bonus attack. So you just get a lot of extra attack. That's all. You can hit more. And I think you can find a way to build that into the character. I see this subclass as kind of a blank slate. It doesn't push you in any one direction, in any one play style. It just kind of lets you build what you want, and that is a big pro for me, where it lets you use your feats and your play style to make it what it is. But the con is you are pretty limited. You're basically a straight up fighter with a few little bonuses here and there. The other thing I will mention, if you look online, you can find quite a few different samurai subclasses, classes, in similar nature that might more fit your playstyle if your DM agrees to it. So if you really want to play a samurai, you don't have to be stuck with this if you work with your DM. Just keep that in mind. Since there are no extra mechanics to the samurai subclass, this wraps up the fighter overview. I'm not going to do the gunslinger since that is a critical role, non-official thing. I know I did the paladin, but the gunslinger's a lot. There's more things we gotta look at. We have books, we have things like that. So, I hope you liked the video. If this has been helpful and you did enjoy the video, leave a like down below, leave a comment letting me know anything about your fighter. What would you do differently with a samurai? That's always a good question to ask. If you need miniatures, check out my shop. Link is in the description. It's called Adventures in 3D. You order a 3D printed miniature, I send it to you. And yes, I do all the printing. This isn't some partnership. This is just me trying to make a buck and keep the lights on. Give that a look as well. And on top of that, if you use RPG Daily 10, you get 10% off your order. If you want to chat D&D with other people, come check out the Discord server. Link is also in the description. I've been Richard. Thanks for watching.